What is up, everyone? And here it's going to get informative because I'm showing you how to scale recipes and make recipes. So every recipe starts with 100% flour. And then you obviously have the yeast, which is my sourdough in this case. I'm actually going for a quick 5-hour ferment, and 100% sourdough was successful for me. And then you need hydration, which is the water. Olive oil and sugar are only optional, but this is going to help with the texture and actually to speed up the fermentation process. And then salt. Anywhere between 2 to 3% is okay with pizza dough. Okay, now that I have my percentages for my pan pizza recipe, I kind of guesstimated that I want 400 grams for that pan pizza. So it's kind of thick, not too thin. So I take this 400 grams, which is the total desired dough weight, and I divide it by 2. After dividing whatever total desired weight you want by 2, that will be the weight of your flour. So this has been successful for me, taking that total dough weight, dividing by 2, and using that for the flour. After that, you start plugging in the numbers. So if the flour is 100% and the sourdough is 100%, they're both 200 grams each. But now you need to find out the hydration, and this is very simple. You take that 200 grams and you're going to multiply it by that 70%. So with percentages, you take that decimal and you bring it over 2 places. Times it by 0.7, and that's going to be 140 grams. So you just found out the weight of water. Now we have olive oil and sugar, right? So it's 3%. You take that decimal place, you bring it over to the left 2, 1, 2, and now you're timesing 200 by 0.03, which is 6 grams. So now I found my olive oil weight, found my sugar weight. Now let's multiply that 200 by 2.5% salt. You're going to do the same thing with the decimal places. You're going to bring over the decimal 1, 2. It's going to be 0.025, and you're going to get 5 grams. Okay, now this recipe is a little different. Sourdough weight is 100%, which is kind of rare. Usually sourdough is only 20%, but I'm trying to speed up the process. So what we're going to have to do is add all of these numbers together to find the total dough weight, which is 557. Now this number is high because of the sourdough. I already said that. But what we have to do now is lower the weight of the flour and sourdough, which all I did was take 50 grams off each. Now, after this, you're going to times everything back to that 150. So I times 150 by 0.7, and I times 150 by 0.03, and these are the numbers I got. Add them all together, you will get 417 grams, which is very close to that 400 gram desired dough weight. So use this method. It'll be successful by taking your desired dough weight, dividing by 2, and using that for your flour, which is the 100%. Use this. It is the best secret. All right, now we're going to take a recipe which has the grams, and we're going to find the hydration, the yeast, salt, every percentage, okay? So the flour is automatically 100% in all recipes. So what we're doing here is taking the water, grams, and dividing it into the flour, grams, and we're finding the percentage. 375 divided by 500 is 0.75, which is 75% hydration. Now we found hydration. The same thing goes with the yeast and the salt. You divide the yeast into the flour and you get the percentage, which is 0.4%. So you might think, oh, this is a very small amount of yeast. Yeah, well, try it out. You don't really want the yeast to exceed, I don't know, 2%. That's crazy. All right, for salt, 12 divided by 500 is 2.4% salt. Now, that's over with. We have the percentages. Let's scale the recipe, right? So this recipe here makes 3 dough balls, 280 grams each. Now, let's say you want to cook 6 dough balls. So we're going to take this recipe and scale it. So for 6 dough balls, it's quite easy. All you have to do is times the recipe by 2. And that means you have to times the yeast by 2, which is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 375 times 2 is 750. 500 times 2 is 1,000. And 12 times 2 is 24. That one was easy. But you take the new number and you divide it by the old number. So I want to make 5 dough balls. I divide it by the 3 dough balls in the initial recipe. You get 1.66, which is a weird number, but all you have to do is times all of the grams by 1.66. So you'll get 3.32. Then for the water, you're going to get 622.5. Flour is 830, and the salt is 19.92. Now that's easy. All you do is take 5 divided by 3, and that's your variable. Okay? Maybe if you want to scale this recipe and you have, let's say, 4 kilos of flour, which is 4,000 grams. Just to let you know, guys, every 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram, okay? But one person in the comments said, oh, I have 4 kilos of flour. How can I change the recipe? Simple, right? You're going to take 4,000 grams. You're going to divide it by the initial recipe's flour, which is 500. And you're going to get 8. So what do you do with this number 8? It is the variable. You have to multiply each ingredient by 8. So that's your scaling. You times everything by 8, get 16 grams of yeast, 3,000 grams of water. You have the 4,000 grams of flour, 96 grams of salt, and that's how you find a recipe, by just having the amount of flour. Now this 3-hour Neapolitan recipe was 75% hydration, which might be a little difficult for beginners. Say you want to lower it to 65%. So this is what we're going to do. You have 375 grams in the recipe, which is the 75%. And you know by taking 500 times 0.75, and that's your water. So what if we did the same with the flour and you times it by 0.65? You're going to get 325. So what you do here is eliminate the water in the recipe and you change it with the 325 because that is 65% hydration. And now this is your new recipe for 65% hydration, and it's 325 grams of water to the same increments of everything else: flour, salt, and yeast. So I hope you learned something watching this video, and if you have any other specific culinary questions, please put in the comments below. I can even make a part 2 video. So here is an interesting one. I'm going to show you how to cut a pizza. This process is definitely overlooked. So you want to start by cutting it in half. And now I'm going to cut this pie into 6 total slices, so each half will have 3 slices. So I put 2 nicks on the one side, and I start and finish at the opposite side. Make sure wherever you start in the middle of those 2 slices, you finish at the other end. And there you have it, 6 perfect and even slices. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.